Can everyone see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so I have some
Yes.
trouble opening the lecture note and terminal at the same time. So I might just need to switch back and forth so you won't see them side by side. Okay. So last class, we talked about there are different type we can use tests to store tests in C++. One is the char to store one single character, and that will be in the single quotes. And for strings and C string, we can use it to store a sequence of characters. And the string value will store in the double quotes. And we know to access string and C string entry, if you want to access the characters in the string or C string, you can just use the array notation. And the character, each character value are treated as numbers through the ASCII code, So we see the example last class. Now, many of you asked then, what's really the difference between the strings and C string, So to store text in C++, when we see text here, we don't just mean by one single character, We want to have some message, like a sequence of characters. So we mainly have two ways to do it, One is string and one is C string. Now, string is a class type. Now we won't go into deep mentioning what's a class or what's a class type. You will learn that in Q11 class. So for now, just understand that string, it's a data type, So we declare the variable as the string type, So if you look at the function here, so we can have a string, and then we can initialize S1, a string 1 as hello. And we can initialize another string called S2, and then we can set that equals to world. And we can have another string, we can just declare it and not store anything to it, And then later, maybe we want to store S1 into S3. Then now this S3 will store hello. So when we print out this S3, we will get, so here we will get hello. Now we can also concatenate, someone asked, can we add the string? Can we concatenate them? You can do that in string, So we can concatenate S2 right after S3. So if you look at S2, S2 is world. So if you want to concatenate the world right after the hello, then you can just do add equal. Now add equal is the same as when you do the arithmetic with numbers, So the add equal is just the same as S3 equals to S3 plus S2. Now the order matters here, So it will concatenate in the order you're adding them. So here, when you concatenate S2 to S3, then you will have S3 is hello, and then you will have world right after it. So you will concatenate these two words. Okay. So now your S3 becomes hello world with no space in between them. Now you can also concatenate just as the assignment, where you can concatenate S2 to S3 and then assign it to S3. So this way, right, your S3 now is hello world, and you will concatenate another S3. You will concatenate another S2 at the end. And you will have, if you don't have question, please mute yourself. Okay, then now you just concatenate another S2 to S3. So your S3 now will become hello world and then another world. Okay, so we know that with addition, you can concatenate them. You can just put different string together. So if you want to, we can also just print out a message with the concatenation. So we can have S1. We did not change S1 at all. So S1 is just hello. So here it will print us hello. And then we will concatenate it with a space. So we have a space here. And then followed by world. So it will print us hello with a space and then world. Okay, so that's what we allow us to do with the string type. Okay, so I will show the code later because I don't want to switch between the board and terminal too often. So let's look at the C string, right? So we know the C string, it's like we treat it as the character array, right? So it's an array of character. Now, whenever we did array in C++, it involved pointer, and that would be, again, that would be a topic in 2.11. Okay. Now, if you look at it, so at first, right? So the first I want to, since we have the character array, right? Normally when we have an array, we will need to give a size. Now, if you look at hello here, have 5 characters. So what happens if we put the capacity, right? So it seems like you only need 5 space, right? 5 characters to store hello. But when you compile it, you will actually get an error. Okay, so that's something I want you to pay attention. Since C string, right? We know we normally seeing it as the array of character, but it's not quite the case. So the C string is actually an array of character with a terminating character, which we call the no character. So if you look at the second line, right, we initialized CS1, and then we can leave the capacity blank. Now, if we leave the capacity blank, it will actually store it in the array like this. You have a CS1 array, right, C string array. Now in your array, it will store H, E, L, L, O, and then there is a no character. Now this \0 is the no character. So you actually need a capacity of 6 if you store it as a C string. So C string is an array of character and that requires this no character. Okay, so if you need to give a size, make sure you have a size more than at least 1 more than the number of character you store in. So to fix that, you need to change this 6. You need to change this 5 to a 6. Okay, otherwise you will get a compiler error. Now, if you look at the next one, but you have we initialize another C string 2, and then we store a world to it. So it's like the C string 1. So it would take 6 space in the character array. Now, if you want to declare a character array, now without putting anything in first, you can just leave the array size blank, right? Because now when the C++ reads it, it's not a C string. It will read it as a character array. Now, whenever you declare an array, you need to provide the capacity of your array. So when you do this, again, you will get an error message since you are missing the capacity. So if you want to declare an empty array, then you need to provide a capacity. It's just like the other array. Okay, and next, if you look at S1 and the C string 1 and C string 2. C string 1 stores hello, right? So it have 5 characters, right, with a no character at the end. Now C string 2 stores world. World also have 5 characters with a no character at the end. Now you might think you can just change the S1, right? So we can store the S2 to S1. It seems like it have enough space. But since the S2 and S1 are stored in the array, so for array, you can use equal sign as the assignment, or you can use equal sign to initialize it, right? To put value in it, but you can reinitialize it, right? Put the whole array equals to another array. So if you want to change the data in the array, you actually need to go into the entry and then change it one by one. So this will be an error. So this is not only wrong in the character array, it will be wrong in any of the array, right? So you can use the assignment in between the array. Okay, and also people asking, how can you concatenate array? You can just concatenate array with the plus sign. Again, because array will have capacity. So when you concatenate to array, you will need the array with different capacity. So you can just concatenate them with the additional sign. So this again will give you error. Okay, so here, as people asking, can we go over the C string 2 equals to C string 1? This will give you an error because C string 2 and C string 1, they are stored as an array. Now you cannot do an array, you cannot do assignment in array. You cannot set like an array equals to another array. Okay, so it's like that in any array. So it doesn't matter it's a character array or any other type of array. You can like reassign it, or you can just change the array by set it equals to another array. If you need to change the array, you actually need to go into the entry and then change the entry one by one. So if you need to make a copy of an array, you kind of need to go through that process. You cannot just make a new array and then set it to like an old array.
So that statement is invalid?
Yes, so that's why you see I have a error here. So all the one that a common error. When you compile it, you will get a compiler error. Okay.
But Professor, but if instead of like a character array, hold on, if it was a string array instead, would you still like have to specify the capacity, or you could just put the word in it?
Okay, so so since you are mentioning string array is an array of string. So for the string array, you cannot concatenate them. But if you just concatenating two string, that's a different story, right? If you want to just concatenate two string, if you look at the previous code, concatenating two string, you can just simply add them together. That will be different with concatenating the array. Do we see the difference? So for array, you cannot concatenate, you cannot add them, you cannot have assignment between them. You cannot reassign it. It's just like that for array. So it doesn't matter which kind of array, right? Because again, array involve pointer, which you will learn that more in the 211 class. Okay, and I see people asking, can you remove the no character? The no character is actually required in the C string, because that's just how the C string defined. I mean, if you just have a character array, you could remove, like you can have a C string with just 5 character with hello, and you don't need the no character, but that character array is not a C string, right? So the C string is actually slight difference with the character array. I see people, if you print the no character, you won't see it. Right, when you print the no character, you won't see it since it's no character. So you can think of it as it's like a symbol for C++. No, here is the end of your character. So if you leave the C string capacity blank, it will just automatically have array with the so like here, right, we initialize the CS1 with the capacity empty, and then we store the hello to it. Then we will have a character array with all the character we want to store, and then it will automatically put a no string at the end because it's a C string. So whenever you do that, C++ will store it like this. Okay, so that's when you assign the value in the like quotation, like how we initialize the string. Now you can also, like I can put like you can have a character of let's make it C string 4 with capacity, let's say 10. And then you will initialize it as how you initialize the other array. Then I can just, let's say we just want to store hi. And then we know the C string will end it with a no character.
Professor, can I ask a question real quick?
Yes.
The null character, that's a / and a 0, right?
It's the backward slash and a 0. But you also need to put that in the single quotes. So to know this is a character. So in the single quote, you have the backward slash and then 0. So that's the I think it's the ASCII value 0, and that will be the no character. Okay, so you can initialize the C string 4 with a capacity 10, but you only store hi in it, which means you have on CS4, and then this character array will have a capacity 10. But you only stores a aged in I, and then a no character to tell you end there.
If you don't put the null character in, is it gonna be an error, or you could still use...
It can still compile, then you just have a character array with two character in it. It just don't know where you end the string. It's just not then you will have a
It's not like
character
a proper
array.
C string.
Yeah, so you will have an array of character. It's just not a C string.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so let me just quickly compile the code.
So I'm understanding that. One sec. So when you're establishing the array, that's in char CS brackets, for example, 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then so that array can have 6. That would be 5 plus 1 null.
Yes.
But you don't have to fill out the whole thing. So as long as you're filling out, you just said.
As
so
long as you have
a,
enough space.
just so you have enough space. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So as long,
Yeah.
so that's why if you need to initialize an array, just to use it later, then just always set the capacity large enough so you won't run out of space. But you don't need to actually fill everything in. Okay. So this is the code we see earlier. Right, so we will expect a hello world, and then hello world with a space. So I will just compile it and then run it. So if you look at it, we have a hello here, and then we have hello world. Here, when we concatenate the S2 into S3, and then we concatenate it again, right? So these two operations are the same thing, right? So you can just concatenate it with the plus sign. And then we just print out S1 concatenate with the empty space and then a world. Now here, right, is the second example. Now I will compile it, just let you see the error message. So if you see here we get 4 error messaged, right? So the first one, right, if you look at it, when we want to initialize hello to a C string with 5, right, it tells you the array of characters too long, right? So this string or C string is too long to store in the space. Is too long to store in this array of characters. Okay, and then the second one, if we just want to initialize or declare an array character, then you need to give a capacity. Otherwise, you will get a compiler error, right? The storage size is unknown. Okay, and again here, right, we get an error message from C string 2 equals to C string 1 because it's an invalid array assignment, right? We can do array assignment. And again, okay, so you can also see from here, right, the C string 1 and C string 2, we initialize with hello. Now, if you look at it, right, it gives us size of 6. So so here is how you know it have a no character at the end. And we cannot add them, right? Again, addition is an invalid binary operation between the array. You can add the array. Any questions here? Okay, let me switch back. Can everyone see?
Yeah.
Okay. So the next thing we will look at is the class type, right? Since we just mentioned that string is a class type. Now, we won't talk about what a class is now. So mainly class is a data type however you want to define it, like an object. But for now, just know that class allows you to have different methods. Now, a method is probably another new term. A method is just some special function you can call. So just like the function we used before. So method performs similar to function. Now, the way we will use method is very similar to function. The difference is you will have the variable name, right? So whatever the variable of that class type. And then you will have this dot here to select the method you want to use. So this dot here is called the method selection operator. So you use this dot to select which method you want to use or which function you want to use in that class. And then, right, you will have parentheses just like the function, and then you will provide wherever the argument, wherever the input you need for that method. Okay, now how to make a class method, or what's a class, how to make a class, or how to make your own class. Again, that will be CS 211 topic. Okay, so for now, we will just look at the string class. Okay, so there are different class method, and let me switch to the terminal. Okay. So now we have the string. Can everyone see the terminal?
Yes.
And can everyone see my cursor?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so if you look at that, here we have a string, right? So we know string is a class, it's a class type. So this will allow us to access to different methods. So the first method you will see is length. So length will give you the number of characters in your string. Right. So if you look at here, S here, we have the if you look at here, we have. So if you count number of characters you have in S, you start with Q, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
So C strings don't have a null character?
It won't count the no character because no character, like we don't count it. Again, this is a string. So in a string, you don't need to worry about the no character. Okay, so the s.length will return to you number of character in your string. So here we will expect it to print a 14. Now s.size, size perform the same as length. So it will also give you, so the size of the length is the same thing as how many characters you have in your string. So it will also print you 14. Okay, so it will return to you the size. Now you can also have s.find. Okay, s.find will find the first the index of the first character that matches with your text, wherever your string here. So if you look at here, we want to look for C. Right? Do we see C anywhere in our string? Now, if you look at it, we find a C here. Now, since we find a C here, right? So since it will return the index, so starting from Q, Q is at index 0. So to find Q, you will have, right? So this is index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So when you do s.find C, it will print you 7. Okay. Now, when you want to find the E, now if you look at our string here, we have multiple E. Now it will find you the first C appear in your string. So what that return to you? So the first E is here, so it will return to you 2. Now you can not only find one character, right? Since it's a string, then you can have more than one string. Now, if you want to find E3, what will that return to you? Now, where do you see E3? Where do you find the substring E3 in your in our string here?
11.
Here, right? 11 and 12, right? So it will always return the index of the first character. So once you find the matching one, it will return to you the index of the first character, right? So beginning of your substring. So that will be, so it will return to you 11. Okay, now if you want to find hello, do you find string hello in the string s?
No.
No. If we don't find it, what do you expect? What do you expect it to return? Okay, I see people say error. Okay, I see people say nothing, but it will return. Now, if you look at the method here, right? So the method performs pretty much the same as function, right? So it will have a return value. Now, if you look at the example we have before here, it will always return an integer. So it can return nothing. It will return an integer. So I see people say -1. So -1 is a reasonable answer, right? If you see a -1, that just tell you you didn't find it. Okay, so we will check later, see do we get -1. Now here, now if you just do find, it will find you the string. It will find you the matching the substring from the left, right? It will look for the first matching one. Now you can also do a rfind. Rfind will look for the first matching one from the right. So where do you see the first E from the right?
13.
It will be index 13. So it will print you index 13. So it will give you 13. Okay. Now, if you look at it here, we have another s function. Now this function is a little different. So you have s.find. Now you have an E, but you have another input 7. So when you have two input, when you have the text, right, the target string or the target substring you are looking for, and a number, the second integer, the second input integer, it tells you where do you want to start. So it will tell you the position where you want to start looking for the target. So instead of looking for E starting at the beginning at the index 0, it will start at index 7. So if we move to index 7, so this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it will start looking for E starting from 7. So you don't check anything prior to index 7. So if you start from index 7, if you have an E there, if you have an E at the position C here, if you have an E here, then it will just return 7. It will start it at this position. But since this is not a E, so we just keep moving. So it's not a E, that's index 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Right, so the first E after the index, right, so starting at index 7 is 11. So it will print you 11. So it will also print you the index of the string, but it will start it at the starting position you give as the input. Any questions here? Okay. Now you might see that here we have two functions, like two methods that they both call find. So this find here is being override. It's being on overload. I CPU say EJ hello. For the EJ hello, here you are just looking for the substring that contain EG. Now, if you look at the EG, where do you find EG, the substring EG in your string? You see a E here and G here. So you find, so it will return the index of the first E since you find it. Here you find EG, and that's the first EG you find. So you will return index 11. Where if you look, when you look for the first E, you find the first E here, but the next character is not a G. So you will keep looking for EG. So here's E, and the next character is G. It will only return the index of the first character, the first matching character. So when you have EG, then you know the EG, the first matching character is at position 11. Then you know 11, 12 will be the matching position. So here the find for E, comma 7. It will look for the character E starting at the 7th slot. So starting at the 7th position, or the index starting at index 7, not the 7th position, starting at index 7. Okay, and here when you do s.find hello, right? So for hello, you can't find any substring hello in your string. So we will expect it to print -1. This is just what we expect. Okay, so back to this find function. This find function, or this find method here, has been overloaded. Overload means you have different function with the same name. Now C++ allows that as long as they take in or they require different type of input. Now if you look at it, the first find here and then the second find here, they have different input. So the first find, you only have one input of string. And then the second find here, it requires an input of string and an integer. So this is how C++ distinguished which find you are looking for. So you can actually write function with the same name. So when you write the function, you can also have function with the same name, but just make sure they require different parameter. So you cannot have another find function that also require a single string. Then there will be a conflict. But if you look at the two find function here, they require different input. So the C++ will be able to tell by the argument you provide to call whichever function you ask it to call. Okay, so now we will compile it and then see does it run the way we expected. Okay, so we get 14, 14, 7, 2, 11. Now here we get like a crazy number, and then we have 13, 11. So the only one that does not match with our expectation is the negative one. Now that's because here, well, when we do find, it will return us the position, right, of the target, but we cannot find it. Now, if we look at this, this probably won't make sense to us. Now, if you want to convert it to something we as a human understand or easier for us to understand, there's a way to get around with it. So since this will tell you the position, now we want to understand that you can actually convert it into integer. I know it seems like it's already printing an integer, but if you cast it to int, now for the other value, if you cast it to int, it won't make difference. Now it just in case if you can't find the substring, now if you cast it to now when you cast this output here s.find into an integer, right now you see a negative one.
So was it an unsigned int before?
It just store it as like the position value.
Yeah, I mean like the type of it was unsigned int.
Yes, it probably is. It just store it in different format.
Is there a way to like just check the type of something?
You can check the library, check their source code, see how they implement those methods, so you can tell from the source code.
Okay.
Okay, so there are other methods in the string. So you can also find substring, right? So if you do s.substring, there's 7. So it will tell you the substring started at position 7. So it will return to you the substring. So if you look at the position 7, so if you count it, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So index 7 started with a C. So you will print the substring started at C and then ended, and then you will have the substring started as 7 and then just toward the end. Now, if you have, again, this substring method or function is being it's being overloaded too. So if you give 2 input, the first input is always the position, right? The starting index you are looking at, the starting position, you are taking your substring. Now, the second input will tell you the amount of character you want to get. So we started at 7, so index 7. So index 7 will be lie on C. Now, if you want 3 characters starting at C, then you have C, O, L. Okay. Now, if you want to print out the string S, right? So when you're doing the substring, it will just return you the substring. So it won't actually change the string. Okay, so when you print the string, you will print Queens College. Okay, now if you do s.string, s.erase 6, 2, it will tell you the first 6 again will tell you the position, and then the 2 will tell you the amount of character you are erased. So if I copy the Queens College down, right? So if you go to position 6, so we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This means we will delete this. So 6 is this space, right? So we will erase 2 characters starting at position 6. So we will get rid of this space. That's only 1 character, and then you will get rid of another character. So you will erase 2 characters starting at position 6. So you will get rid of the empty space and then the C. So now when you do s.erase, it will actually change the actual data. So this method here is a void type. It won't return anything. Right? If you look at here, we print it out. So it's actually returning a string. But when you do s.erase, it will change the actual data. It won't return anything. Right. So now your S string will become
Professor.
Mhm.
Right. So for the substrate and the erase, are those like defined within C++, or are those functions that we would have to like write?
You don't need to write it. It's a class method, which means like whenever you have a string, you can always call those method in any string. So those method you can apply to any string. As long as you have a string data, you can do that and then apply those method to it.
Okay, thank you.
So if you look at the previous code we used to find the length, the size, we just use it. If you look at the code, we run it without including, like adding any extra library. Okay, so here, if you have replaced, the first index will tell you the position you want to replace. Now, the second character will tell you amount of character you want to replace it by. And then the last entry will be a string. It will replace those characters by the new string. So if you look at here, our S now is this queen solaged with QUEENSOLLEGE. Now you want to replace start data index 0 with 6 characters, so which means you will get rid of the 6 characters. So you have, so starting from 0, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you will get rid of this 6 character, right? From Q to S, you will get rid of them, and then you will replace it with a capital C. So now your S will become college. So the first index told you the starting position, the index. And then the second index will tell you the amount of character it will be replaced by the new string. So the third entry will be the string, right? The new text will get replaced. And then you can have insert. Now insert will just tell you where do you want to insert the text at the position. So right now, the S is colleged. So let me copy it down. You have colleged. Now you want to insert it at position 0. So at the original C. So you will insert queens with a space. So now your S switch back to Queen's College. So let me save here. Right, so if you look at it, the output is exactly how we expected. Any questions here? Okay, so I will upload the today's notes on Blackboard later today. So here in the notes, I also listed out all the method and what they are doing. Right, and then there's one I did not mention in the string, that will be the .c_str. So this method, it will return a C string version of the string. So you can think of it, convert the string to C string. Okay, and okay, and I also have the notes on some what function we can use in C string. Since C string is not a class type, so it does not have method. But you can use, so instead of method, there are actually function in the C string library you can use. But since it's in the library, whenever you use it, you need to include the library in order to use it. And then since it's function, it's not method, when you call it, you will just call it as how you call the function instead of using the method selector. Okay, so we will go through the example with this next class. Okay, everyone have a nice weekend. I see people asking when is the exam 2 get upload. Exam 2 will get upload later today, latest tomorrow. Because I just finished reviewing, checking all the exam 2 and then report all the cheating incidents. So when you see the grade up either later today or tomorrow, whoever received a 0, you will find there are questions in your exam that's common in red, which means your answer are either find online on the check website, or your solution is identical with other students.
When is the final exam again? I couldn't find it on CUNY.
So the final exam for this section will be, let me see. For this section will be on Thursday, December 16th. So it will be 2 weeks from today.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and if you cannot make it on 16, you need to let me know as soon as possible. So the exam time is different. It's a little different with the normal schedule time. So our class started at 1:40. Your final exam will start at 1:45, and then it's from 1:45 to 3:45. So it's actually 2-hour exam.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so, and again, over the weekend, I will also put the final exam dates and more detail on the announcement on Blackboard. Okay, so you're asking how many questions. Since you have 2-hour exam, it will double amount of the question. Okay, the exam 2 result, you will get it either tonight or tomorrow. And once I post it, I will also make announcement. So you probably will get an email notification. Okay, have a nice weekend.
Thanks. Bye.